Welcome to Scott Family Homestead. I'm Christine, and we have been hugely blessed with beautiful weather for November. Normally we would have tons of snow by now, and I'm just so happy that we're still seeing some green while the cattle and the chickens and the ducks and everybody are really enjoying what's left of the green grass. We are going to pivot here and talk about raising pigs. So pigs are a perfect transition animal. I feel like they come right in between your backyard chickens and maybe ducks and rabbits and things like that, and before you step up into the realm of cattle and sheep. So at least for us, this has really been our transitional animal. We really love raising pork. I really don't see us ever not having pigs. They're a fun animal to raise. They are an excellent source of protein. The kids love pork, and so do we. And so we're excited to expand our breeding program here. You'll see with a lot of the choices that we've made this year is we're trying to become more self-sustainable, where we can keep our own breeding programs going. And we're less reliant on other people for our animals in the spring. So with our dual purpose chickens, and now here with our pigs, and with obtaining a bull for our cattle, we're really trying to kind of keep it on farm when possible. Now there's obviously costs associated with keeping all of these animals over winter, and we are factoring that in. But for us, just with our end goal of our farm, we've decided that this is the route we want to take. But for a lot of people, pigs are a seasonal animal. Pigs can be pasture raised, but they don't need nearly the room that a cow or a sheep would need. And I could go on and on about raising pigs, but today we're going to talk specifically about the fencing options and what we have decided works best for us. I'm going to talk about two different types of fencing today. First is this electric netting fence from Premier1, and the second is going to be our more permanent fence that we are actually putting in today, transitioning to winter, and that is going to be hog panel fencing. So this pasture is looking a little bit rough at the moment because we are beyond our grass season. This year we raised 6 pigs. These two, as you can probably tell right here, are going to be our breeding pair. So this is Mama Pig, and that's going to be Daddy Pig. Now the pigs weren't contained to just this space this year. We used this netting, the Pig QuikFence, and we were able to route them kind of all over. They were up in here to begin with, and slowly further and further back to where it's a little bit more wet this time of year. This is the Pig QuikFence from Premier1, and we use the solar charger for it. To buy this whole kit, it's about $500. I think it's like $4.99. Most of that cost is here in the charger, which you're going to need some sort of electric fence charger anyways. So for about $200, you're getting 200 feet of fence, 4 corner posts, everything you need to get this all set up. We like the solar option because we can be much further from our house or barn. At our old house, we were able to raise pigs in the woods using the solar fencing. We did not have power out there otherwise, and this charges up really great. We use these for our cattle. We've had them for about 4 years now without any issue. There are a lot of benefits to this movable fencing, especially because in an area like ours, we're in the process of clearing all of this for our animals. So everything was overgrown, similar to that out there at the beginning of the season, and we're able to just keep pushing that way and creating more pasture for our animals. Another great aspect of raising pigs is that you can do this really seasonally. If you aren't keeping a breeding pair, then you can get your feeder pigs in the spring and be done by fall. So a fencing like this doesn't need to last through the winter. If you are just raising feeders, you can pack this up in the fall, store it away, bring it out in the spring, and decide on a whole new shape, orientation, or even location on your property. The downside to this is if you are placing this fence like we did into really tall grass or old grass, you're going to have to mow an area to run this because it will short out in the taller grass. So you need to create a mowed perimeter in order to put this up, or the electric isn't going to work. You also have to be careful if you're coming through and weed eating to try to keep it down, that you don't hit the fence like Ryan did right here. Another downside, when they root like this, they can push a lot of stuff up against this fence, and so you just want to walk your fence lines like any other fence and make sure everything is clear and the electric is working and not shorting out. Overall, I would say that the electric netting fence is the way to go if you are seasonally raising pigs. It just gives you so much flexibility and options. Now this year, for the first time, we are keeping pigs over the winter, and the netting is not going to work for that. What we're going to do today is make kind of their home base. We're going to make a big rectangle around this hut of theirs that is going to be hog panels with T-posts and a line of electric towards the bottom. Our plan from there is to put a gate on the backside next spring and be able to run the pigs out even further with the electric netting once we can build off of our main rectangle here. So we get the 16-foot long hog panels from Tractor Supply. These are actually upside down, so the smaller squares will go on the bottom. This rectangle that we're creating around their hut likely won't grow back into pasture just because of the way they're going to use it all year round. So it's kind of a sacrificial area for the winter. So our sacrificial area here will be 16 by 32. That should be plenty of room for them for the winter months. Our pigs are located just off of our cattle fencing, and we're actually where we've got this line here and then this big post. This is going to be our winter sacrificial area for the cattle. So we want to make sure that we've got enough room between this post here and the front of their winter sacrificial area so that we can still get the tractor and everything through here. So that's why we decided on a nice small size of 16 by 32. So we've set up our 16 by 32 here, and I don't think it's going to be quite big enough. We need to pick up 2 more hog panels to finish this out to a 32 by 32. So we're going to revisit this tomorrow, and at that point I can show you how we put the clips on and the electric setup as well. Okay, we are back and we have all 8 of our panels up, and we just took down the old netting fence. This looks like a much better amount of space than when we had it end right through here. We were originally following the recommendations online, actually going well beyond the recommendations online for square footage per pig, but it just did not seem like enough. So you're gonna see online they recommend a lot of times well under 100 square feet per pig, but I feel much better having this extra space for them. So the drawback to giving them this much space is this is the area that's going to be absolutely ruined over winter and spring. It will not recover again, but I still think it's beneficial to go this route. We still have to run our wire, our hot wire, towards the bottom of this, but the pros to this fence is that it is much more of a barrier both for the pigs and predators. It's a very sturdy fence. It can still be moved if you'd like, just not quite as easy. And the pigs are very respectful of this type of fence. Now the cons, it's a little bit harder to move around. It takes a little bit more work for the initial install. And also, if you don't have a very level, flat line like we do here, you might have to do some digging to get these 16-foot panels to sit level enough that they can't nudge under or dig under. Also, cost comparison. These 16-foot panels, they are $37 each right now at Tractor Supply. So it is a little bit more expensive, and you're getting less square footage versus the electric netting. Probably one of the biggest downsides to this fence is that you do need to be able to transport a 16-foot piece of fencing. So these two will have about 1,000 square feet in their sacrificial pasture.
In order to attach the panels to the T-post, we use these T-post clips, and I will show you how those go on. these heavy duty T-post clips I got from Tractor Supply. When you buy your T-posts, ask whoever's working in the yard if they have T-post clips with the fence posts you're buying. Every bundle of T-posts, they will include T-post clips. You just have to ask them for it. A lot of times they won't throw it in unless you ask. But I bought this bag of 50. I needed some extra ones, and we'll show you how these go on. So these are just a bent piece of wire, and it hooks onto the panel like this and then goes around the T-post. So you can either go like this underneath. The hog panel has a vertical bar that's going to be in the way of bending this. So actually flip it over. I'm going to slip this end here between the fence post and that vertical support for the hog panel. This then goes around that fence post, and then you can either use a pliers or you can use a flathead screwdriver or whatever you need to just twist this around. I'm just going to use another extra clip, pull that around, and there you go. You can bend this tail end up and over so it wraps, and you're good to go. That's all there is to it. We ended up putting 2 clips per every fence post, so one up tall and then one kind of down below. If we did not have the electric wire there, that kind of keeps them from rubbing on these and pushing on them. I would do at least 3, maybe 4 evenly spaced to keep the pigs from pushing this fence, because they will root up to it and they'll try to lift the fence up if there's no barrier put in place. And since we got this electric wire going along there, I'm not too worried about them bumping up against these panels.
So we would recommend putting a T-post every 8 feet. We've got a couple more to add in here. And then on the T-posts, you attach one of these insulators. Now this allows you to run your wire about 4 to 5 inches away from the fence, and that will keep them from pushing on the fence. You can get them in a big package like this. We got ours from Tractor Supply.
These are a 5-inch extension insulator. And the key to remember this is you need to know your orientation of your T-post. The little nubbies on ours face into the pen. So you need to get these that are designed that way. They make a reversed option, which I bought first time. Those would come out this way. So make sure that you have the right insulator for the job. So we have this wire up a little bit higher than probably what we'd want because winter's coming and we know we're going to get some snowpack. But you probably want it, I would say, maybe 8 inches up off the ground. And we want it right at their nose level. When they're coming around and rooting around, we don't want them to be able to stick their head underneath it and push on this fence at all. Like I said, we're putting it up a little bit higher in anticipation for some snowpack. So we use a 12 gauge electric fencing wire, and we use a high tensile wire, but we don't actually pull it super tight. We just pull it by hand tight enough, kind of come in vertical and then turn it so that it falls within the plastic grooves here. And then we'll just hook up our solar charger.
All right, our fencing is finished and it's getting windy here, so bear with me with the sound. I'm going to show you what it looks like here. All right. Now this wire could be tightened a bit, but they really don't mind. It doesn't need to be perfectly tight. We've got it hooked up to the electrical here. All you have to do is take your charger and hook it right onto your wire. And we are set to go. And they will learn their boundaries and they'll be all set for winter. There is one more fencing option that I want to address, because if you're new to pigs and you're researching fencing, a lot of people will forego the physical fence and do just one wire, hot wire, close to the ground. And pigs are generally very respectful of that. They can be trained to electric very quickly, and so that works for a lot of people. The reason we don't do that is because we're constantly changing the size and shape of their pasture with the electric netting, and so it wouldn't be consistent enough, in my opinion, to hold them back year-round. So it is an option. It's a third option, something to consider if you are looking at getting pigs. So I hope that is a good overview of your options when it comes to fencing for your pigs. We'll be doing more pig content coming up, so make sure if you're interested in this, you subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.